Welcome back to the podcast. How has your week been? I hope you've been having a really good week. We have been really busy here, actually. We've got our daughter changing nursery soon, and she's been going to go to a forest school. So I don't know if you have anything like that in your area, but it's basically where kids go out to the forest and they run around all day, and it sounds absolutely amazing. But we've just had this really funny month, actually, where it seems like suddenly all of the expenses that we had coming up that we knew that were kind of on the horizon, they have suddenly popped up all at once. So what I'm talking about today, sharing the 4-step manifestation process that I use, I tell you what, I still use this is my go-to that I go to every single time I am looking to manifest something. In fact, this has now become something that's really native in my life. And I just keep returning to this process again and again and again to keep on top of things. Because I don't know if you've had children, or if, it doesn't matter if you haven't had children, to be honest. If you've ever been through an experience where your financial responsibility perhaps increases, or your need for greater financial resources increases. This is where we need to raise our belief. We need to raise our manifestation game in order to be keeping on top of things, so that we don't kind of freak out, especially those of us who have come from a place of financial scarcity or a lack of safety with money in our past. This manifestation process can really become something of a ritual that you can have in your life, and know that this is always your go-to, that is going to see you through these times. So everything I'm talking about today, I have been using recently. We've got some building work going on at home coming up shortly. We've had the need to get some new things around the house that have been broken. And then we've also got the kind of transfer costs for my daughter to go to a new nursery. And, because she's going to forest school as well, she needs all this outdoors gear as well, which is wonderful. But this is exactly the kind of thing that, keeps me coming back to a place of certainty and safety around money, even when my financial responsibility grows, even when I know that I need more financial resources. So it's a really, really wonderful tool. So I'm going to share that with you today. And I wonder, just before we get started with that, how would it feel for you if you really felt a sense of confidence and a sense of certainty that whatever it is that you're working towards, whatever vision, whatever goal, whatever desire you have, that it is within reach and that it is on its way? How would that be for you if you had 100% certainty and confidence that that was the case? Just feel into that for a moment. Just feel into that. How would it be for you? How different would it be for you? So for many people, having a process and having what we are going to talk about today really helps to give that confidence, and it helps to give that certainty. So this episode is going to be a deep dive into my manifestation process that I go back to again and again. As I say, I use this in my life. I've honed it over time. I have used it essentially to create new income streams, to manifest new income streams, to manifest new clients, to manifest investment opportunities, to manifest the right coaches, the right accountants, the right bookkeepers. I've used it to manifest my fiance, to manifest having a family. And it just works. So whether you're looking towards to get, to a different place in your business, whether, you have this vision for your business, which I know many of us here are talking about, we will also be able to use this in any area of our life. So this process is really transferable for any area in your life. The thing is, and you're going to see as we go through this, manifestation is really, really simple, and it can be easy. It really can be. But when it comes to things that we haven't done before, and when it comes to things like money, especially if we've come from a past of having a lack of financial security and certainty and safety around money, when it comes to money, we can get a little bit freaked out. Our thought processes, our beliefs can get a little bit funky. And this is where things don't become very easy with manifestation. You can have this 4-step process and it can be amazing. But, part of the 4-step process is actually to look at where it is that you might hold resistance. Because the thing is, this 4-step process is no different to manifesting $5 or a cup of coffee or a free parking space. Really, there's no difference in those two things at all, except for your perception around it. So you're going to find that everything I talk about in this podcast actually is really about the inner work. It's about upgrading and changing the way you look at the world, the way you show up in the world, changing yourself from the inside out so that you can be a match, an energetic match for what it is that you want to bring into your life, for what it is that you want to bring into your business. So you can use this every single day, and you can use it to manifest the cup of coffee, or you can use it to manifest 10K months in your business. So it really is exactly the same thing. The only difference is you just want to do the inner work. If there's anything that is stopping you from perceiving a cup of coffee from being the same thing as 10K, and I know that your brain might be telling you there's a huge difference between those two things. Like one might cost $3, whereas the other is 10K. Like, of course, there's a huge difference there. There's like $9,997 worth of difference between those things in terms of value. Yes, that's correct in terms of the dollar value. But actually, what the only difference between those two numbers really is the way that you're thinking about it. Because for some people, they'll be looking at 10K as nothing, as a drop in the pond. Like, that's easy. That comes to me all the time. It's just their thought processes around it. And they don't have any resistance when it comes to manifesting that money. And if you haven't come from a place of financial security and had that privilege of growing up in a place where perhaps, wealth was normal, money was normal, perhaps you were taught to save, taught to, how to keep money, how to grow money. If you haven't had that privilege in your life, it might be that there's some inner work to do in order to up-level your vibration, up-level the way you think about money, so that it's no different than manifesting a cup of coffee. It can feel easy then to manifest that 10K. And that is really at the heart of everything that we talk about on this podcast. So why don't we get into it a little bit more? So people are going to be struggling with this if there is resistance. As I said, there might be thoughts, there might be feelings, there might be old experiences, and that is part of the process that we're going to talk to. Okay, so these 4 steps. Step number 1 is all about creating your profound vision. Step number 2, you need to clear some space. So we're going to be talking about how do you actually clear space for the thing that you're calling in. Step number 3 is taking aligned action. So I think there's a lot of teachings out there that, make it sound like in order to manifest, all you need to do is sit on the couch and meditate, and the thing that you're wanting to, bring into your life will land on your lap. And unfortunately, it doesn't work quite like that. So we're going to be talking about aligned action. And then step number 4 is allowing and receiving. So that's really where we come to looking at clearing things out, clearing anything that's in the way of you creating and holding and having this thing in your life. Okay, so let's take the first step first of all. So profound vision. What do I actually mean by that? Your profound vision, I think, has 3 different aspects to it. So firstly, you want to make a really clear request to the universe, something that I see in the Facebook community, which if you're not part of the Facebook community yet, go and have a look at the show notes, and there's a link over to the Facebook community. Come along and join us. It'd be wonderful to see you in there. We have some really great discussions about abundance and about manifestation in there. And what I see with a lot of people when they join that group, I ask a few questions when people join, and I ask, what is it that you're working towards manifesting at the moment? And people will say something quite often like more time, more joy, more love, more abundance. Now that's great. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Wouldn't we all want to live a life where we have more time, we have more joy, we have more love, we have more abundance? It does sound wonderful. Unfortunately, though, it's not very clear, because you could then go out into the street and find $10, and then the universe will be like, tick, done. There's some more abundance for you. But was that really what you wanted? So this is where we need to have a really crystal clear request. So if you would love to manifest 10K or more in your business a month, then that's what you're working towards. And if that's a bigger picture for you, because many of the people that I work with, they're looking to manifest, additional 3K, 5K a month, that would be a game changer for many of the people that I work with. So maybe 10K would be something that you'd be working towards eventually. And if that's the case, then maybe your clear request at this stage is knowing that I want to be there in, I don't know, say a year, 2 years' time. Wouldn't it be great if I was manifesting an additional 2K a month, an additional 3K a month? That might be your first milestone. And that profound vision might look like 1 more client every month, It might look like 2 more clients, depends on how you price up your services or your product that you're selling. Or it might look like selling 10 spots on a group program that you've got. It might look like selling 5 courses that you have. It might look like selling 1 piece of art. So it depends on what you do, right, in your business. But you could actually have a look at, okay, if I have this vision of this is exactly what I want, this is the crystal clarity that I want around it, put that figure down and then think to yourself, how is it that I could actually bring that about? Now, we're not trying to do the universe's job here for it, okay? So, because I know that a lot of people will probably be thinking, yeah, but the money can come from anywhere. That is 100% correct. All we're trying to think about is, given what I know at this stage in my life, in my business, in my personal development, in my soul evolution, what might be possible for me right now? And what might I like to do? What does my soul feel aligned to? And so that can give you a little bit of a clue. So that's the first thing, is making that super clear request. The second thing that I would encourage you to do is to check in with yourself. Is this soul aligned or is it ego aligned? Now, when I mean soul aligned, what I'm really talking about is your higher self, your higher consciousness. You might even think of this, if you have certain spiritual beliefs, as being something along the lines of your soul contract, what it is that you're meant to do in this lifetime, what it is that you're meant to do, in this particular season of your life. Or it could also be actually that this is just what makes you feel great. It lights you up. This is what, flow feels like to you. And I think if you have feelings like that inside, that is a really clear sign that that is truly soul aligned to you. So check in with yourself with that clear request. How does it feel in your body? When it's soul aligned, as I say, it's probably going to feel expansive. It's going to feel exciting. It's going to feel fun. Yeah, it might also feel scary. So we can't expect to not have that human experience. And that's okay if you have that human experience. It might feel like, there might be some uncertainty, there might be some doubt, it might feel scary. That's okay, because we've got mindset coaching and other energy techniques to work on that. But underneath that, does it feel like it would be exciting? Does it feel like it would be something that would be fun and flowy and just really easy and great for you to do if you were to put aside those mindset issues that might come up? Okay, so if it does not feel like that, then maybe it's ego aligned. What do I mean by ego aligned? So when I think of ego aligned, I think of often people and circumstances outside of ourselves. So where we might be aligning to something that's external to us. So maybe unknowingly, from a subconscious level, we might be looking at looking to manifest something to please someone else. Perhaps you grew up in a family where your parents always said, you should earn X amount. Or maybe you've grown up in a family where there was a competitive kind of dynamic between siblings. So it feels like actually you could get one up on them, if you were to get to a certain income level. But is that truly what your soul wants? So that's all I want you to ask with that. Why do I want this? Does it feel flowy and easy and fun despite any fears that come up? Or does it feel a bit constrictive? Does it feel like a part of you withers, when you think about doing that? Is it truly something that you want? I can give you an example of this actually, because when I went into kinesiology, and I thought with every grain of my being that it was what I wanted to do for a career. I thought it was my forever thing, right? And I do think it was something that I was meant to do in terms of the training, and it led me to coaching, because through kinesiology, I discovered NLP, I discovered doing energy work, I discovered, working with people in terms of their belief systems and getting them into alignment on an energetic level in order to progress. So it was a stepping stone in terms of where I needed to go to and what I'm doing now. But as I started practicing as a kinesiologist, there were certain times when I was attracting clients that just they weren't the right clients for me. And actually, I was finding it very draining and hard to show up every day when I wasn't working with the right clients. And I was also in this kind of place of trying to make sure that I proved myself through my business, as if I was trying to prove to my family I didn't waste money training on this thing that I know it's a bit outside of the mainstream. And some people might look at it as being a bit woo and a bit weird. And it was almost like I was trying to prove to people outside of myself that, look, I can make this work. Look, I can be good in this, as if the being good would be proven by the number of clients I was seeing and how busy I was. And so the busier I got, and the less my clients aligned with where I was at right then and who I needed to be working with, the more I found I was getting burnt out. And that is where I was coming from, an ego place. Now, the thing is, manifestation works, full stop. It doesn't matter whether you want to manifest something that's soul aligned or ego aligned. It's just that it's going to be so much easier for you and so much more flowy if you can recognize that this is truly in alignment with where you want to go, with where you're at in your life right now. And this is genuinely coming from you, inside of you. It's not to do with anything outside of yourself. It's not to prove anything to anyone. It's not to put a condition on something. So this is where we really want to check in with the soul versus the ego aligned. And then finally, the other part of a profound vision that I want to talk about is, how is this going to impact your life, and how is it going to impact the people around you? Because I find that many of us who are in heart-centered businesses, we don't do this just for the money. So this is where it can get a little bit funky when we come to, looking at manifesting money. And then many of us can get our knickers in a bit of a twist around this, because actually for many of us, we're not necessarily in it for the money. However, we live in a 3D world, and we just happen to live in a world where money, is related to our survival. Money is related to our ability to do things in the world and our freedom. So, this is where it's like, well, I want the money, but actually, I feel bad about it. It might not be something that you truly want just for that. And I think that's where we need to get a really rich picture of how that money is going to impact your life, and it's going to impact the life of those around you. So ask yourself this question: when I receive those 5K months, 10K months, whatever it is that you're working towards, how does that impact you? How does that change your life? And how does that change the life of the people that you love? Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's also the clients and the people that you serve. Maybe you're actually part of a movement, and you're looking to create change through the groups of people that you're serving. So how would that impact them as well? So seeing how that money can change people's lives, including your own life, can really add a lovely dimension to this profound vision, because then it becomes so much greater than just the money. It's not just about that. Actually, this is about positively impacting perhaps your family. Maybe it's about paying off your mortgage so you don't have to worry about, that as, your family ages. Maybe it's about investing in different education for your kids. Maybe it's about providing, different experiences through traveling for your children. Maybe it's just about actually giving back. When you have that money, then you're going to give to different charitable organizations, or maybe you're going to do more work in one particular area. Maybe when you fund a lot of your day-to-day expenses through the work that you do, you're going to open up more slots for pro bono work. So you're going to be able to pay it forward to people who can't afford to work with you. So that's a really nice business model that some people talk about. So really give your vision some a really profound kind of outlook to it, and understand the depth of it, because it's never just about the money. It's never just about the money. Okay, so that's step number one, your profound vision. Step number two is clearing the space, creating space within your life, creating space within your physical environment. I'm going to talk through some of the places that are some common ways in which we hold clutter, and we really don't have any space to actually create and have and hold the thing it is that we're looking to manifest into our life. Because the thing is, if you're wanting to create something new, if you're wanting to call in something brand new, let's just say you might want to work with 10 new clients over the course of the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. So you'd love to have 10 more people. But do you have the space for 10 more people right now? So that could be like, you're sending mixed signals to the universe. Like, I want 10 people, bring me 10 people. And yet actually, how would I even find time to serve 10 people? Or, oh my God, my financial kind of processes are in a mess. Like, how would I issue them invoices? How would I issue them a contract? All that kind of stuff. My scheduling's a mess. How would I even manage the appointments? So all of that can be clutter, and that can be a way that you don't actually have the space. So let's investigate that. Okay, so considering your profound vision, you can ask yourself, where is it that I do not have space for this to come into my life? Where do I need to create the space to have this in my life and in my business? So, what about your financial life? So, I like to explore the money side of things first and foremost. So as I mentioned with payment systems, do you have a way that you can issue them a link to pay? Maybe if they're doing a payment plan, do you have a service in place that allows you to make those recurring payments without you having to manage things too much on the back end? Or do you have someone to help you to keep track of that? If you're thinking, I need to keep track of each payment and maybe it's done a little bit more manually. If you do the invoicing manually, do you need to get some help doing that? Perhaps a family member can come and, help you, see about setting up a system for you. So is there clutter in your financial life in any area at all? Are you putting aside money for tax automatically? So that can be financial clutter as well. Like maybe your business finances are a little bit messy. And the thing is, if you're operating at a certain level, like let's just say you're maybe making 1K a month or 2K a month, and it just feels a little bit messy. And sometimes you get tax bills, and it's a little bit like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be that much, or you might get an accountant's bill, and that wasn't planned for. These little financial mistakes that you make at that level, when you get to a different level, they will just be amplified. So you need to actually make sure that you're nipping it in the bud at a smaller financial level before you get to the bigger financial level, because it's just going to be more money in the future. And that can actually be a block. So if you find yourself getting in a mess around taxes or in a mess around bills or anything like that, it could be that there's an energetic block there. It could be that actually there's a fear that what if I earn more money? What if I take on more clients? And then I get an even bigger tax bill. Like, I just don't know how to do this stuff. So have a look at, are there any areas in your financial life where you need to actually create some space? And maybe there's someone that you might want to manifest to help you. Maybe there's a system, some knowledge, a little bit of an information gap that you want to manifest, finding the solution for. And you know what? If there's anything like this that comes up, I mentioned the Facebook group before. Why don't you come into that group? It's Manifesting More Money and Magic in Your Business. So if you search for that on Facebook or have a look in the show notes for the link, you will see that there. Come along and join. And actually, if you've got any questions around that, ask in the group. We can all help each other and figure this out. So financial life clutter is one way that you can have a look. Another place to look at is your workspace as well. Now, that can be your physical environment. So if you have an office or if you have a corner of the house that you go to, if you get out of the house and you go into a co-working space or you have your own office space, have a look and see, have I got a nice welcoming office environment? Have I got a place that feels flowy to work from? Does it feel organized? Can I really get my head straight, get down to get to work while you're there? Do you need to do anything to make that an even more harmonious work life? That might be something you need to do physically. It could be, a pile of papers that you need to sort through and shred. It could be stationery all over the place, just as some examples. It could be like, that kind of physical clutter. Then again, it might also be digital clutter. I mean, I've seen this a load of times on people's computers, with the background on the computer, the desktop is just completely cluttered. There might be like saved files and screenshots and things like that, and people cannot see the wood for the trees. So is that possibly becoming a little bit of a block? Is it that you may have loads of things on Google Drive or loads of things on Dropbox and you have no idea where anything is and you find it really hard to find things? That can also be clutter as well. Do you have an email account that has thousands of unread emails and you do not know like where there's client emails in there and where there's spam and ads? Maybe you need some kind of system on your email. So think about, is there any clutter in your work life that might be preventing you from drawing in more clients, drawing in more course sales, drawing in more group program sales? Because what if you had more people and then you had more contracts to file and then you had to sort out more documents and everything's just messy? And it's like, if there's clutter and chaos, and then you bring in more clients, it multiplies the clutter and chaos. And what if there is a part of you that does not want to actually multiply the clutter and the chaos? So let's get on top of that. So see if there's any ways, as I'm talking, if anything sparks up for you, make a little note somewhere, put it in your journal, or put it in your phone notes, or whatever it is, just to make a note to go and have a look at something. What about your calendar and your obligations? Have you got a calendar that is so full that if you did want to manifest 10 new clients, you wouldn't even know where you could fit them in? Like, I've seen that time and time again, whether it's that people have a very busy social life or a lot of obligations out in the community, or maybe they're doing different work, and it's like, where would I even see these clients right now? So do you need to open up some space? I can give you an example, both in business and my personal life around this, actually. When I was building my kinesiology practice, and I had a vision board, and I literally created in Google Calendar a separate Google Calendar that showed all these bookings in there. And I kind of took a screenshot of that for my vision board so that I could see a fully booked kinesiology practice and what it would look like in my calendar. I also created that space, and I created blocks. So I was like, right, when clients come, this is when I see them. So maybe it was Thursday afternoons, this is where I see online clients. Friday mornings, this is where I see people in person, or whatever it is. So it's like there's no kind of decision fatigue in the moment. If you're figuring out when to see someone, it's like, right, I've got these slots available. What would you like, this, or this? So that can be a really lovely way to create that space so that people can just flow into it. Also, having a look at your obligations as well, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling busy all the time, there might be some resistance there, around, I've already got so much to do. I'm already managing so many things in my mind. I'm darting from one place to another. Is there anything that you can give up? Is there anything that you no longer need to do, especially if you feel an obligation that you don't really actually want to do anyway? So I always like to use the litmus test of, does it feel expansive and flowy, or does it feel constrictive to my energy? And when I talk to people about their intuition, generally speaking, that is what I find, that people either feel this beautiful expansion in their energy or a little bit of a constriction. So if you have a lot of different things that you're responsible for or that you participate in, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, I'd love 10 more clients, I don't know where I can fit them because I've got so many things on my calendar. Why don't you check in to these different obligations, one at a time, and see, does it make me feel more expansive, or does it constrict my energy? And that can give you some kind of guide as to whether or not it's something that actually you need to pull out of, or whether it's something that you need to stay in. Chances are you will probably know without even checking in with your energy, because if you're feeling like you have to drag yourself there and like, oh, I really don't want to do this, your answer is probably there. So what can you get rid of in terms of your time commitment so you can open up more space on your calendar? Not necessarily just to plonk many more things in, but just to have that space and to have that kind of ease of knowing that you've got plenty of room to play with here. When those 10 new clients come, or however many people or things you're manifesting to sell, when they come, there's plenty of time. Okay, so that was all about clearing space and clearing clutter. The next thing I want to talk to you about is aligned action. I've spoken about this an awful lot, and if you've been following in the group, the 100 Days of Manifestation, I talk about this all the time. I think it was Wallace D. Wattles' quote, which I absolutely love, and I know I'm paraphrasing here. He probably said it in a different way, but essentially what he said around aligned action was that by the power of thought, you do create the thing, but it's through the power of action that you actually receive it. So when I looked at this quote, what that really spoke to me or said to me was, by thought, you are creating the thing in the vortex. It's out there in the field of infinite potential. So on an energetic level, it is there. But it's through the act of doing things in the physical, in the 3D, that we create. And the way I kind of see it is that we are very powerful beings. We literally are the beings that create from the energetic into the physical realm. So through action and through doing things in the physical realm, we're literally bringing it into life. So it might exist in the energetic realm, but we have a responsibility to show up and do our part in order to receive it. So what can you do in order to take yourself closer to your goals. Now, I call this aligned action because for often in business, what we tend to do is we do the things that feel safe. We do the things that might feel productive, that might actually feel like we're doing something that makes a difference. But when we actually examine it, we might be spending a lot of time on busy work and on work that does not really produce the results. So here are some examples of some of the things that I've noticed within myself and also with my clients, the types of things that we do that might actually be seen as unaligned action. So low value actions. Procrastination branding. I'm really guilty of this one. I love things to look pretty. I love things to look, symmetrical and harmonious and the right colors. And so when it comes to doing social media or it comes to doing my website, I can spend hours and hours on Canva. And it feels productive because then it's like, well, I look professional, I look this and I look that. Actually, if you go and have a look at my stuff right now, it is really, really B minus. It is imperfect because I just know that actually that's one of my patterns that I go to, and I'll spend hours in Canva making things pretty or spend hours on my website and it doesn't actually produce any results at the end of the day. So that is something that, because I know that I actually really do enjoy that, I tend to leave that for the evenings where I might just be watching something in the background. My partner might be working that evening and my daughter's in bed, and I'll just sit there and I'll tinker with that in the background while I'm maybe watching something on TV. And that is how I get that type of thing done. But it's not something that I do as like in my most productive time. What are some other low value actions? Perfecting copy. Perfecting anything really, but perfecting copy, writing and rewriting again. One social media post taking like 3 hours. That is another example of low value action. B minus is perfect. It's like, get it done, get it out the door. That is all you need to do, because really at the end of the day, if you're working in the area of being in a service-based business, being in a heart-centered business, and especially if you're working on social media like many of us are, your clients, your ideal clients, they don't need to see perfection. I mean, I would actually ask you and challenge you to consider, if your clients did come back to you and say, well, there was a grammatical error there and, you spelt this wrong, are they actually your ideal clients? Or would you prefer to work with someone that just goes, you know what, she's bang on with her message. I think I need to work with her. She knows how to help me and I'm going to send her a DM. Would you prefer someone that's an action taker or someone that's coming back and critiquing, the quality of your copy? So this is where we get to show up in the energy of our clients that we're looking to actually manifest as well. Because if we're showing up in action taking energy, we're showing up in a way that's like, you know what, I know this is of quality. It might not be perfect as my mind dictates, but I know this is good quality. I know this is going to help at least one person, and I'm going to post this. And imagine if someone who is also an action taker and she's ready to take that action, she sees your post, or he or she could be, depending on whatever business you're working with, that person sees your post and goes, wow, this person knows what they're talking about. I need to work with them. And then they hit, whatever your call to action is, book a call, send you a message, and then the coaching or the healing relationship starts. So, think about how you're showing up in your energy with these as well, because that can be all about, how, what kind of people you're manifesting into your world as well. So that's another example of a low value action. And then other things that we're probably all super aware of that we do that, are not exactly helpful. Some of the procrastination things that we do, so watching Netflix, go, oh, well, today I'm just not feeling it today. I'm going to take the afternoon off, chill out and binge on Netflix. I'll get to it tomorrow, but you never quite get there. Or you make yourself busy, sorting everything perfectly. Now, this might sound in contradiction to the last step I just spoke about, creating space, but there needs to be a balance, right? So if you're forever sorting and scanning through your papers in your office, making it a condition of your manifestation, once my office is perfect, then I will be able to do this. That is another example of the low value action. When we think about high value action, it's usually around marketing. If you're in a business like mine and many of my clients, coaches, it really comes down to talking to people, like speaking to people and letting them know what you do. That's all it really comes down to. That might be a networking event that you go to. So here are some examples of some of the high value actions. Going to a networking event and speaking to people, maybe following up with some of your old clients to say, hi, how you doing? How's everything going? Just wanted to, keep you up to date. Maybe you're sending, some of a recent training that you did to a few people that would be of interest, just to give them some extra value. Maybe you're sending an email out to your list. Maybe you're recording a podcast. Maybe you're putting out that post on social media, but you're not deliberating over it and making it perfect, right? So these are some of the ways that you could be seen as high value action. Maybe you're actually doing a webinar. Maybe you're enrolling people onto your group program. Maybe once you've enrolled people, you're then creating the content and you're delivering and actually doing the work. You're actually seeing your clients. So these are all very high value actions. So think about that Pareto principle. That principle of 80% of what you do is not that valuable, is not really required. And it's the 20% that really moves the needle, that really makes a big difference. What is the 20% in your business? Most coaches that I speak to, and certainly it's the truth in my world, it's usually the working with the clients first and foremost, and then it's the marketing. And those are the two big things that are really, really important. Okay, so that is the third step around aligned action. And the fourth one is around allowing and receiving. And at its broadest level, what I like to think about with this step is just looking at clearing any blocks, or any perceived blocks, I should say, to manifesting. So what is it that is coming up for you that is creating a little bit of resistance? That is creating that sense of, it's not possible for me, or it's not going to happen, or this is really difficult. So resistance is usually the answer to, why we may not be receiving. I love Brad Yates' quote around this. Again, I'm paraphrasing, so I'm probably going to say it in a way that he doesn't say it, but it's a great quote anyway, so I'll do my best. He talks about resistance being the level at which you resist something is the level with which you do not experience it. So i.e., if you have, say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 might be the most resistance, if you have, an 8 out of 10 level of resistance and it feels really hard right now, then that is the amount that you are not experiencing the thing that you wish to bring into reality. So when it comes to manifestation, and we translate that over to manifestation, that is the level at which you are holding it back and you are not experiencing it. That is the level of the gap between where you are at now and where you want to be. It is what is holding you there. Resistance can be exacerbated by thoughts, by feelings, by beliefs, old experiences that you're holding attachment to, having a perception around, because these things happen in the past, and it's how we think about them right now that really actually, can kind of block us around that. Any traumas that might be locked into the body, we call these trauma capsules in emotional freedom techniques. So where the body has had an experience, and maybe actually in order to carry on and keep going day to day, the body locks in that experience to almost protect it so that you can continue. However, sometimes these things can fester a little bit, I guess is probably the right word. Although I don't want to say that word as if it's a really fearful thing, but it can create more weight. It can create more emotional weight, more baggage, and it just makes things a little bit harder, So clearing these trauma capsules that we might have as well can be a really, really beneficial thing to do. As I said as well, sometimes resistance shows up around the clutter. And we might actually be creating more and more physical clutter in our lives because of some of the resistance that we have in our mind. And then just the classic human experience things like the fears and the worries, doing something new might bring up all those normal and natural human things like, this is big, this is scary, I've never done anything like this before. Maybe it's not possible for me because I've never experienced this before. That's all very normal. So when it comes to allowing and receiving, what we want to do is create awareness around what it is that's stopping us. And that can sometimes be cyclic, and we can come back to the same thing. And that's totally okay to do that. It's not a problem to have these things that are stopping us. It's how we navigate it. Because from what I've seen, at least so far with my experience, I haven't actually seen that, some of these things will necessarily drop away and never be a problem again, because if you were able to get to that perfect place where you never actually deviated from being in a place of certainty and peace and hope and joy, you just wouldn't be having a human experience. It's 50-50, right? So it's about actually being aware of the fact that you might be holding resistance, the fact that there might be some blocks or perceived blocks there. How do you deal with those? That's what you want to get really, really good at. How do you deal with those? So the thing to actually practice and develop the skill around in this is tending to your thoughts and feelings. Like if you're holding the thoughts, if you're holding the feelings, and that is feeling like a very negative place to be in, you want to be able to pivot quite quickly into a different feeling space. So practicing that pivot, practicing being in a different energetic space as well, allows you to be a vibrational match for what you're calling in. So that can be one thing to practice. Another thing might be releasing resistance as well. I love using modalities like EFT tapping for this, because I just think it's so powerful and it just releases so much on different levels. And there's so much on YouTube. I've got my own YouTube channel as well. You can check out the show notes. I'm building up that tapping bank over time as well. But yeah, releasing resistance as well, wherever you perceive that to be. You can also do that through journaling though, like just pen to paper can be a really powerful way to just write out a little bit like, what's coming up for me, why do I think this is not possible? What else is possible? That can also be really, really powerful. So we need to make sure that we allow and receive in order to raise our vibration and try and, be more in the positive vibration than in the negative vibration, because it's not a problem for you to be in a negative vibration. It doesn't shut manifestation down. In fact, I think, with an unmanaged mind, you can still create the life that you want. But as I say, it's just being able to navigate your way back into being mostly in a positive vibrational state. That is where your power is. So I know I've gone through a huge amount in this episode. This has been a longer episode. I wanted to give you this 4-step process to really show you the practical manifestation steps. And this is what I teach a lot of in the School of Manifestation. It's really based on this 4-step process, but then it goes a little bit deeper. It goes into, what you can do in each step, really mapping that out. And then it provides you with the coaching support as well as you move through the processes in order to stay high vibe, in order to keep calling in to receive what it is that you want. Because as I say before, what we're really doing here is we're doing the inner work to change our vibration in order to be a vibrational match most of the time to what it is that we're calling in. And that is all done through inner work. It's not necessarily done through just using the right crystals, just doing the right ritual. I think there's a lot of manifestation stuff out there that talks about all of that, and that's wonderful, but it's all external. We need to do the inner work in order to see and change our outer reality. So that is what I have for you on the 4-step manifestation process. And if you want a really short, nice little summary, then here is a little journaling exercise for you that's based on this 4-step process. So ask yourself, number 1, what it is that I want, or what do I want? That's a better question to ask yourself, isn't it? What do I want? And as I mentioned before, make it really profound, make it really rich. Why do I want this? How will this impact the rest of my life? Number 2, how can I create space for this? Or where is there something in my digital world, in my mental world, in my physical world that might be blocking this from coming in? What do I need to clear? Number 3, what is one thing that I can do right now that will help me to, show up and do my part in this manifestation relationship? So one aligned action that I can take today in order to show up and do my part. And then number 4 is, what is one reason why this is not possible for you to create? And honestly, you can literally do this every single day. This can be a journaling exercise that you do every single day. What do I want? Reaffirm, visualize. How can I create even more space? What's one thing that I can do today to declutter? What's one thing that I can do today to clear some space in my diary or whatever it is that I need to do? What's one aligned action I can take today? And what is one reason that it's not possible? Bring that awareness in to what's coming up that's blocking you, and then see what you can do to clear that. Do you need to do a bit of journaling to disprove it? Do you need to do a bit of EFT tapping? So that is a way that you can actually start to use this process right now. Okay, that's been a long episode. So I hope you found that really, really helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode, actually. Why don't you go ahead and leave a review? I would love to hear your reviews. It's really going to help to get this podcast out to more people who need it, more people who need some help with manifestation in their business. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So why don't you go ahead and most apps, you can scroll down to the bottom, click to leave a review. You can choose your star rating on there and give me some feedback and let me know as well in the comments on there, what would you love to see more of? I'm going to be creating this podcast as I go and really listening to your feedback so that I can create it in a way that's most helpful for you. All right, have a great week, and I will be back really soon with another episode. Bye.